Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my guide covering advanced landings. A very simple topic, much easier to learn though if you master low altitude flying first. So I highly recommend you get used to flying at low altitudes before you learn to do this. So there's 4 parts to this, and that's 3 parts, sorry. Finding a landing zone, decreasing your speed, and then the landing itself. So of course, you're flying along, you have to choose a good area to land. I mean, you can do this just in general and adjust where you need to land last second, but if you're flying extremely low altitude, like below 5 meters, usually does not leave you much room to make those adjustments last second. You have to know where you're going to land first. So next, like I said, it's decreasing your speed. You can either angle left or right. Personally, I prefer angling my helicopter left, and you angle it at a 90-degree angle. And then you hold S, pulling the helicopter backwards, and this will cause you to lose all your speed, and naturally the helicopter will level out once you lose enough speed. During that time, I use my mouse to keep my helicopter from angling up or down too much, and then if I need to make major adjustments, I can use A and D. Personally, I find it much easier to use my mouse to make those adjustments. During that time, depending on the speed and altitude too, I will sometimes hold Z or Shift to adjust the speed at which I land. But essentially what you're doing is it's the same as pulling up like this, because if you pull up like this, you lose all your speed very rapidly, but you gain a large amount of altitude. Because you're doing this at a 90-degree angle, you're spinning in a large circle instead of gaining altitude. So that's why, again, you need to choose your landing zone first, and you need to approach at an angle. You can't approach your landing zone straight on, otherwise you can miss by a couple hundred meters sometimes. So find a landing zone, make sure you approach at the angle depending on how you're rotating your helicopter. If you're angling your helicopter to the left, approach from the left. If you're angling it to the right, approach to the right. And then of course you're just normal landing. Like I said, it usually automatically levels the helicopter out. Like the force of the wind and everything will level the helicopter out. If not, you can make the adjustments with your mouse and keyboard or joystick depending on how you fly. And then it's just do normal landing. You can hold Z a few times and then tap it once you get close to the ground. So, I mean, that's basically it. At the end of this, I'll have a friend of mine demonstrating what the landing looks like, as well as a friend demonstrating what not to do, which is basically just a crash landing. He failed about halfway through. So, like I said, 3 parts. Choose a landing zone, decrease your speed, and then just the basic landing. So once you decrease your speed, it is just your basic landing. I mean, it's all the same process as any other landing. I mean, that's basically it. Very simple process. I recommend practicing the other a little bit. You can make your own adjustments. This is how I learned to fly, and this was a slight adjustment to another method that I was taught by a friend. My friend learned it from someone else, and he made a few adjustments to it. So just practice and get used to what works best for you. All these tutorials out there and that, usually, while they did work for me somewhat, I ended up adjusting all of them a little bit to work best for how I fly, and the keyboard and mouse I fly with and everything. And I have a joystick I fly with every now and then too. I've adjusted to use that. I use completely different techniques for landing with that. But other than that, that's it. In the next guide, I'll be covering landing with a blackfish, because that's a little more difficult than it used to be. I don't know why they changed it, but they did. So I'll be covering that in the next guide. I hope you guys found this useful, and I will see you in the next guide.